Caleb with Brownells here, and in today's quick tip, we're going to be installing the automatic bolt release from Volquartsen. So this product here is for the Ruger 1022 or 1022 clones, and the reason we're going to be installing it, because if you're familiar with this firearm platform at all, you know on the factory Ruger style triggers, whenever you lock the bolt to the rear with the bolt catch, you're not able to slingshot it, and it's kind of a pain to get just right to get that bolt release. Once you get used to it, it's honestly not that bad, but it's not something you can really do fast. So if you're shooting different, like rimfire competitions and things like that, you want to be able to slingshot that bolt release. So what slingshot is whenever the bolt's locked back, if you were to just pull it a little bit, it would go forward automatically, which is great. I mean, that's how they should have been from the factory, in my opinion. But they're not. So, with that being said, Volquartsen makes this handy-dandy piece here that replaces the one in your factory fire control group. Alright, so let's go through how to install it, because it's a... I mean, if you're not familiar with it, you look at this piece, it's pretty intimidating, because it has a bunch of holes and stuff, and it's a weird shape. So, with that being said, first we're going to need to pull the barreled action and stuff out of this stock. Alright, in order to do that, there's a screw on the bottom just forward of your mag well. And actually, let's not skip any steps here. Make sure your firearm is indeed unloaded, right? Which we did before when we were manipulating and I was showing you the stuff here. But pull the bolt back, observe the chamber, and you're good to go. And then step 2 is to repeat that step again. So I'll just, there we go. Alright. Now, if you notice, there's a screw in front of your mag well. Alright, so that screw's got to come out. On this particular setup, this one is a hex head. Yours might be a slotted screw. Whatever it is, just pull it on out. And whenever you're unscrewing it, you'll unscrew it about that far, and it won't come all the way out the stock. That's perfectly fine. You can leave it in the stock. It's out of the action, so it's not going to hold anything up. Now for this next part, you're going to need to take your safety, which is your safety button right here, and you're going to need to put it in the middle position because it'll bind on the stock. So in the middle position, all you do now is lift up, set your stock aside, and we're ready to start doing some work. So these 2 pins here may have already fallen out if you have a factory type setup, but we're just going to need to punch out this pin and this pin. So we'll knock those right out. And now we can set this aside. Get those pins out the way. Okay, so this piece is going to go in just like this, okay? So what we need to do is actually get it inside there. And notice that 2 pins are going to be retaining it. You have this one right here and this one up top. Alright, but we got to pull some stuff out so that we can actually get to it. Alright, so what we're going to do is take this top pin and just push it out, and it'll fall right out just like that. Now whenever you lift it up, that pin was retaining your ejector, and notice, if you can see in there, there's also a spring that's being retained. So what I like to do at this point, I'll just put my thumb over there. That spring's going to come up just like that, okay? So now, you can move that spring back and just kind of keep it out the way. We're going to take this bottom pin, we're going to push that out as well. Alright, and both of these pins are the same diameter and the same length, so whenever you put them back in, you don't have to match the exact hole, they're both the same. Alright, now, as you pull this out, you'll notice that this one was actually retaining your magazine catch. So we'll just get that stuff out of the way. And I'll show you how to put that back in as well, don't worry about it. So these two things will come out, just set those aside. Alright, now at this point, our old bolt catch, if you can see here, will just fall right out the top. And you can see the difference in them here. One's just going to be replacing the other. Okay. And the part that actually controls it, that makes the part that's actually like the big difference. Notice on your factory one, you have this little hook right here. And on the Volquartsen, it's nice and rounded. That little hook not being there in the Volquartsen is what actually allows you to slingshot it. Alright, that's the main difference there. So, what we're going to do is take our new one, and with it going in just like this, pushed against the left side of your fire control group, and with that spring out of the way, we're just going to drop it straight down in there. Okay. Now, at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my pins, and I'm going to start it from the left side. Put it in just far enough to get through the that bolt catch. Now I'm going to take my bolt catch and spring, and I'm going to push them in just like this. So if you notice, there's a large side and a small side. The narrow diameter side goes in first. Then your actual catch itself is going to go in just like this, and this arm, and if you look in the bottom here, so this arm is going to go right into that slot. Alright, just push her right in there. And it takes a little bit of finessing. There it goes. And then from here you can line up and push that pin in the rest of the way. And to make sure you install that correctly, you just push it forward, do a little function check right there. Just like that. Nice and easy. Okay. So, let's keep moving. What we need to do at this point, remember this spring that was captured here? You're just going to need to push it all the way forward. And when you do so, it will automatically catch on your bolt catch, or yeah, it'll automatically catch on your bolt catch right there. And you don't really have to do anything, it just kind of self-aligns. Just be aware that it does need to do that. Alright, so at this point, again, with this one, I'm actually going to come in from the right side rather than the left. And I'll kind of show you why here. And that's to capture that spring. So I just take my index finger and I push the spring down. You can use a tool if you want to kind of push that spring down. What I used to have a small slotted screwdriver with a little notch cut in it so I can push small springs like this. But you don't necessarily need that for this case, but if you need help, you know, that'll definitely help you. So I'm just going to push down, push this pin over that spring, and as you can see, the pin is capturing the spring just like that. Alright, now don't go all the way in yet, because remember we pulled that ejector out, we got to put it back in. Alright, so if you notice, there's kind of a hook at the top right here that faces upwards, okay? So if there's a slot on your trigger mechanism, the body itself, you just slide this into that slot, line up the rear hole with that pin, and push it through. Now your bolt catch may or may not be aligned at this point. All you need to do is just kind of push it up so the pin will clear it. You may have to come up and forward with it. And you can kind of get in there with the punch as well. Alright, and the pin will go right through it. And a way to check that, you just push up on it from the bottom, and it should spring back down. So that right there is exactly what we want to see. Okay, so let's reassemble and do a function check. Make sure this thing actually works. Alright, so all we need to do is I'll set the receiver upside down here, and just kind of holding this ejector in place, I'll set it right on top. Take my pins, push those back in, just line everything up. Alright, push both pins in. If for whatever reason you can't get one of your pins in, it helps to pull back on the bolt just a little bit when you're pushing those in. And that usually solves that issue there. Alright, so now we need to make sure that we have the safety in the middle position again to get it back into the stock. And notice the cut back here, that's going to line up with a cut on the inside of your stock, right? So you're going to come in at an angle. And set it on in. And all you need to do at this point is tighten that screw back down. We're going to snug that up nice and tight. For anyone, if you want to throw a torque wrench on there, 30 to 35 inch-pounds is plenty. Alright, now let's see if it worked. So, to lock or bolt to the rear is just like the standard Ruger bolt catch, right? You just push down on it, pull the bolt back, and it locks to the rear. Now, to see if it worked, let's pull the bolt back and let it go. And it works. Alright, so we're able to just kind of slingshot our bolt now. Makes loading a lot faster, a lot easier, a little less complicated, which is nice. It's just one of those quality of life improvements. So that's how you install the Volquartsen automatic bolt catch on the 1022. Alright, so if you have any questions or comments, feel free to post them down below. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this on the website and you need help, feel free to give us a call on the tech line. We'll be happy to help you out. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.